What's good, King Ghana? It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson back at it again with a great collaboration, guys. I'm so glad you're here today. Make sure if you're enjoying the video to like and subscribe here on the YouTube channel. But today I got a very powerful brother who's been here to our channel. I'll let him explain who he is and what his channel is about.
Peace, family. George Macon here. Y'all know me, George Macon, my family channel, Street Media TV, where we talk about current events and the Black family. We also have Urban Nerds Foundation, where we work with inner city youth, Black youth, but mainly to change the mindset of the youth and give them better opportunities to become the best versions of themselves. That's pretty much me.
All right. Make sure we give him a round of applause, editors. Very powerful brother. He's had an extensive effect on my life. One of the best, I would say, pro-Black minds I've ever come in contact with. And we recently did a video. In fact, I just got off the phone with our brother Afro Think Tank. I'm very fond of his channel out of the Washington, D.C. area. And brother Afro Think Tank did a video that was quite controversial in this small space. And the name of the video is called Nigeria, Ghana, Benin, and Togo are the home of the diaspora. And these countries should be our focus, right? And I want to play a little clip of that particular video in which the brother called a little bit of slack for, and then we're going to come back.
Don't say nothing. They're very, very quiet. They don't want everybody to know. They're just going there, doing the work quietly, very, very quietly. Why? Because Nigeria is home. Ghana's home and Nigeria's home. All right. Benin is home. Togo is home. Look, I know there's a lot of people going to African Americans. They're going to Kenya. They're going to Tanzania. There's a lot. Some going to Uganda. Some going to South Africa. But those are not necessarily home. Home is Nigeria and Ghana, Togo and Benin. That's home. Congo. That's home. That's home. That's truly home. If you're an African American, African Caribbean, and you're trying to go all the way home, Nigeria, Ghana, Benin, Togo, Congo. That's home, 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 home. All those other countries in Africa, those are family. Those are cousins. Those are brothers and sisters. But that's not home. Tanzania is not home. Uganda's not home. Kenya, that's not home, home. South Africa, that's not home. That's our neighbors. Those are family. Those are cousins. Those are brothers in arms. Those are people we should be united with. Fully and understandable. But if you truly, truly, truly want to go home, I'm talking about where your ancestors came from, where the people who look like you, the Bantu people, the people who act like you, the people that got the same personality as you, the people that got the same family structure and mannerism as you, something that you can recognize especially as an African American, your culture, the thing that you're looking for, that thing specifically, all the way down to if you're trying to hit the bullseye, it's Nigeria, Ghana, Togo, Benin, right? There are a lot of...
Okay, so we've seen that video, right? And he's pretty much saying that in this context, East Africa, Kenya, Uganda, South Africa, those places are not home. Okay, our home for us, people like us, me and you, and those, the other, people around the Caribbean and places like that, we should be focused on the lands of our lineage. All right. And of course, on that podcast, we responded to it. We had some brothers from, Uganda, Brother Gaba, Sister Tina, and Jonita. They're all Ugandans, and obviously they disagreed with him. But you called me. You had you took some umbrage in my response of not pushing back on some of that narrative, and we were not really understanding what the brother was saying. What did Brother Afro Think Tank mean, in your opinion, when he was talking about the diaspora returning home to its roots?
He was on the continent. He was talking to African American people that's been disenfranchising, genocide, menticide, all kinds of sides against us, and we've lost a thorough knowledge of stuff, who we are. And he was talking to a group of people, telling you, I'm on the motherland. This is what we need to get back to. Stop going to the Caribbean and Hawaii and all those places. Take these trips to Africa to go back to your roots, go back to the essence of where you came from, your ancestors. And he was explaining that. I took umbrage with the last video that you guys did because everything that was talked about in there, they never dealt with what he was talking about. I felt like not in a disrespectful way, but some of the Ugandans on the channel was offended, but they don't understand because they have their intact language, they have their cultures. Even some other brothers and sisters that's living in London and stuff like that, they have a more connection to Africa than most of us in the Americas. So I kind of called you because I felt like as an African American and a person that's been well traveled, you should have pushed back on them a little bit to explain to them why that brother Afro think tank was speaking the way he was speaking. Don't take it as he's telling you not to go to Uganda or not to go to Egypt and all these different places. He was telling us that we need to go here first. When we leave the Americas and we got money, these are the first places that we need to go to because we've been robbed of something. And they didn't, but this is the disconnect. They didn't even pick up on that. And for me, that's a problem. That's a problem for me. Because if we're doing business or interacting, and I know more about you than you actually know more about me, we'll never be sympathetic towards each other's plight. You know, to be able to fully understand each other. Then on top of that, we was told in America that Africa was like this utopia when I was a kid. I had no way of knowing as a young man that if I was in Ghana and I went to Nigeria, I'm not home. You know what I'm saying? I thought Africa was this big utopia where it was just brothers and sisters, and this is why when Africans come to America and we see them cooning and buffooning, we get upset with them. Because despite our differences, we're still like one tribe, like one group. And when they come, we expect them to fall in line. But we don't understand that they have a different mindset. Like you, like I said, you're a foreigner if you go from Ghana to Tanzania. Right? So now they already know that and have that mindset. How could they make the responses that they make? To me, that was hypocritical. And I don't think that they did it to be mean. I just think that they don't understand. So like I said, if you leave Ghana and you go to Uganda, you are a foreigner. So when you see the Afro think tank telling his tribe what we need to do, you guys should have been saying, no, you're right. They need to go back there. They didn't say that. Because like I said, they don't understand our plight as a people. So that's what mainly, in the beginning, what I took umbrage with. And like I said, I don't think that it was done in bad taste. I don't think that they were, being disrespectful. It's just that you could tell there's a disconnect. There's a disconnect. And you being there for so long, I was just waiting for you to say, to go off like you usually do, and you didn't. You was lukewarm that day. You tiptoed through the tulips a little bit.
So let me ask you this, because obviously one of the things that off camera when I said, listen, somebody actually commented, maybe if I could find the comment, but the brother was pretty much saying like, O'Shea, you know that you will have a certain percentage of Nigerian DNA. We understand that you are loving Uganda, you're having a great time in Uganda, but you belong back in Nigeria with your ancestral roots and helping us build with your particular skill set. You need to be here. And that was kind of moving to me to see that. But at the same time, I was joking with Jonita, and she was like, look, if you're going to Nigeria, we're all going too, right? So let me ask you this, because I have another theory where people say folks migrated all across Africa all the time. So what is West African doesn't necessarily mean that is where the true origin is. So what do you think people that say that, hey, people have migrated all the time throughout Africa for many years?
I mean, that's cool, and that's true. You can see the Meta Nature in places like Benin and in the Congo and different cultures from East Africa that came west. That's true, but that's not what we're dealing with, and I'm gonna explain to you why. because those things happened thousands of years ago. When you go into the west coast of Africa and to Senegal, we talking about the Wolof people. We talking about the Akan, the Ashanti, the Ga, the Iwe. We talking about the Yoruba, the Hausa, the Igbo. We talking about all these different Mandingo, the Mende people. We talking about all these different tribal people that our people come from. What's going on in East Africa right now? No, when they came to those shores and extracted Africans from the west coast of Africa and took them, across that journey, they came and they took Yoruba people and they took them down into Brazil. And they took them into Honduras and places like that, to the point they took Igbo people. They took people from the Congo and places like that and took them to South Carolina. And to this day, you can still see those people in their tribal garbs and having festivals. Ghana Day in Guyana and in Jamaica, the Akan people and stuff like that. So I understand that part, but that ain't modern times, not something from 1,000 years ago.
Okay.
200 years ago. They went and took Akan people and took them to Jamaica.
Okay.
They went and took Yoruba people and took them to Brazil and Honduras and all those places. And we know it because we can see it. But when you get to the Americas, right? They brought some 300,000 out of the so-called 12 million, but you had already had a whole bunch of blacks here, and you took the ones and mixed them here, right? They've been mixed here, and most of the people in North America here in America been robbed of that. They don't have, like, what I'm saying is, if you go to Jamaica, if we go to Cuba, right? They understand the Congo, Angola. They understand the different religions and the spiritual systems mixed in with the Catholicism and all that kind of stuff. They still have the African garb and dress. You won't see that when you come to America and see the African American people. So when you see Afro Think Tank speaking the way that he's speaking, it's a reason why he's doing that. And he's sounding the alarm to African American people about returning home, because while you're not doing it, all the other groups are. And they're doing business in Africa. They're making money. They're doing trade. When you get on these planes, I have friends that's telling me it's all Asians and whites going to Africa.
That's
no
very
African
true.
Americans. Everybody's going but us. But this is the thing I need our people to understand. I don't even care if you say, if you on the FBA, cool, I'm with you. ADOS, I'm with you. Okay, fine. Right? What? This machine that I'm talking to now, this mechanism that I'm using, you need Africa for this.
Okay.
This phone, you need Africa for this. The rubber, you need Africa for that. So Africa is the vehicle, is the machine that's moving everything. Everybody else know that but us. So when you see these Latinos on the East Coast opening up stores all up and down the East Coast, and they got their own trucks and they got stuff being shipped from their countries, we gotta get in line. We gotta get in line with Africa. We gotta get on the express train and stuff. You ain't gotta move there, but you have to have some type of connection. My DNA that says I'm 44% Nigerian out of the 62% African that I am. 44% of that is Nigerian.
Right. And I would assume it would definitely be the same for me. And leading on to the title of our video, we talked about this. Obviously, we talk often in our conversations. Every time we talk, it leads into a really great topic, but we just talk so much about the things in the Black world that we frequently I actually forget about the topic. But this one we didn't want to forget about. And that is why white people or the system do not want African Americans such as ourselves to have a great relationship with a powerhouse like Nigeria. And you have some really established reasons for that, and I want you to share those today, because we talked about it yesterday. What is the reason why you would feel like whites would prefer us to go to these other regions and not to West Africa, in particular Nigeria?
Because you got to understand something in our history and how resilient of a people we are, who we are. They to this day, whites in America can't believe that we still alive, that we still here. I mean, they tried genocide, fratricide, menticide, all kinds of sides on us, and we still here. Despite, we have achieved despite. And they know that. So when you take Africans who also dealt with colonization in Nigeria that got their so-called the illusion of freedom in the 60s, and you take us who understands white supremacy and white people more than any other black group in the diaspora, they don't want us aligning, because now this white or white imperialism that's permeating all over the globe is a mind thing. The minute we go back and you go back to your roots and you start ponying up with the people of the past, things are going to change, because we bring all our expertise. There on the soil is where all the resources are. We already have black people that can do everything. Then you have Nigerians that's some of the smartest black people on the planet. They don't want us coming together. They'd rather us go to Hawaii, go to Jamaica, go to Brazil and bang some chicks, but don't come to Africa. Africa's dirty and stinking, and it's AIDS and it's poor, and don't come to Africa, because they know that if the minute we come to Africa, like the prodigal son returning home, everything changes, man. Everything changes. And it's not to say that Africans is born, continental Africans is born with one less chromosome and they need us. No, it's just the pieces of the puzzle coming back together where everything starts to operate the right way. And when they extracted us, right? Look at what we built here. So now you take us back to we start going back there and reuniting with the other ones that's there. Man, a lot of stuff I believe that a lot of stuff that go on in West Africa right now, if African Americans was there in large numbers, that should have changed. In 10 years, it'd be a big difference. Because it's
why do you think that?
The mindset. Because it's the changing of the mindset. It's and the white man knows this. That's why he goes out of his way to make sure we don't go there, because he knows that the so-called African American always has an axe to grind against white supremacy and white imperialism. So some of the tricks that he used on colonization in Africa, it was different here. We was under his foot. We was overtly under his foot. So we see him as an adversary, as an enemy. A lot of Africans don't see the white man as an adversarial enemy. They see the other tribal groups. The Yoruba and the Igbo hate the Hausa more than the white man. They hate the Fulani more than the white man. See, this is most groups hate the Fulanis all throughout more than they hate that white man. They see a lot. If you go to Benin and places like that, a lot of them see the white man as a savior, because the white man throws the rocks and hides his hands. He's the one behind the scenes causing the chaos and creating the tribal warfare in those different places. Like you take Africa, they say they so poor, but when you had those different wars in Nigeria, who was giving them the guns? Who was supplying the stuff? Who's doing to this day covert operations in those countries that don't go on the news to establish order and keep things the way it is? So now when you have us coming over there, different mentality. We coming over there, man. F that white man, man. F that cop, man. Hey, man. Listen, France. Y'all got to get out, man. Y'all got, it's a different mentality. It's returning home. And see, a lot of people can't see it, but see, I've learned to study the playbook. I don't deal with things on emotion. I look at a paper and say, okay, I want to know what's behind this paper, because I want to know why the white man conditioned us not to go back to Africa. He knows who the African American is. He knows the mind. He knows these two can never, ever come together like this. Never. Because it will be the death of us. He knows that. So he goes out of his way through propaganda, to propagandize Africa and use his trinkets of incentives to keep us separate.
Can you give me an example of the propaganda that you feel the white man uses to keep Nigerians and West Africans, but primarily Nigerians and African Americans disjointed or disunited?
Well, from the American perspective, the way they portrayed Africa on TV, poor, desolate, dumb, can't do anything, shiftless people. But when you see Nigerians come to America, a lot of them are very intelligent. Very intelligent. I don't like the fact that they come over here, they can't wait to run to a white woman or a white man, but I understand what colonization did to them.
Well, not all of them, but some of the brothers.
A very, very, very large portion of them. It's heavy.
They're gonna be in the comments after you, brother. Go ahead.
Well, see, this is the thing that has to be said, because we got to take the emotionalism out. We got to tell the truth. Now, I'm not in Nigeria, so I can't speak for Nigeria. I can speak as an African American when I see my brothers and sisters come over here, especially the Igbos. Not too much those Yorubas. I noticed that there's a difference. Those Igbos come over. A lot of them go into economics, some form of economics or something, and they got a white girl on their shoulder. They got a white man on their shoulder. And I've seen, but I remember I did the video with one of my great friends, Alan from the Ivory Coast, and he told me, as a matter of fact, I did the video, I sent it to you. He told me that from the time he was born up until he was about 22, he couldn't wait to come to go to France from Ivory Coast and get a white wife and then come to America. He never even thought about marrying an African woman. But they were taught that and trained that by the French from the time that they were young. So he explained to me colonization. I've done videos. You guys can check out my channel. I talked to a brother from Mauritania, and I've learned that depending on which country you come from in Africa, you'll understand the way that they view the white man. My brother from Mauritania, and most people in Mauritania, they hate those Arabs and those indigenous blacks there. They hate white people and those Arabs. Like, damn, they're more than that, worse than African Americans. But I would have never known that if I didn't have African friends that was from Mauritania. You should hear them talk, right? Talking to my friend Alan, he has a little different perspective. But he so it's the reason why I'm rambling a little bit, but what I'm trying to say is, once you get us in the room and we're all talking, and we're taking the emotion out, and we can basically sit down and talk about what colonization has done to our minds. That's what the white man don't want, because in order to restore Africa and put things back in its proper perspective, you're going to have a mind of loving your people. You can't be pro-black and pro take things back, and you don't love a black woman enough to marry her, or you don't love a black man enough to marry him. Nobody's going to take you serious. So they use propaganda. They use propaganda to demonize African Americans. They don't tell Africans about our achievements and the things that we invented in the Americas, our resiliency and our fight to survive. They don't teach African Americans that we had over 265 insurrections fighting here to be free. We fought in every war. We fought for them to come here. We fought in so many wars, and that's how you end up having the chapters of Liberia and Sierra Leone, because of the fight here. Because when they brought the people from the Congo into South Carolina, you had the Stoner Rebellion because they refused to be slaves. They're not taught this stuff. The warriors of Angola down there in Louisiana, when you have the German Coast Rebellion. They're not taught this stuff. They're given a study diet of rap and gangsters and drug dealers and thugs, and then they paint a picture to hear that Nigerians is the thugs of Africa, like the African Americans, right? Watch this. The African Americans,
that's very true,
is the thugs of the Americans, and the Nigerians globally, everybody Nigerians, because when they come to your country, they're gangsters.
That is very true. That is very true.
And we know that that's not the totality of all Nigerians, but that's what propaganda would do. Look at what they say about Nigerians when they come to Spain, when they come to Italy, when they go to other African countries.
I was there living in Poland when I saw that. Yeah, I was there. Let me tell you this story. 2018, when I met Wodemine for the first time, we were in the Yaya Center in Nairobi. And we were staying in Westlands at an apartment, and we needed to pay the guy through this medium called M-Pesa. For those of you who live in East Africa, you have some familiarity with mobile money. You know what M-Pesa is. So anyways, at this particular time, he was, you know, if you want to use M-Pesa at that time, if you wasn't registered, you need, you know, in 2018, at least when we were there, he didn't have a registered M-Pesa account, so he couldn't send the money. So he was asking, listen, I need somebody to send this money to this guy for me. Can you do it? And we were going in line asking everybody, and they were like, wait a minute. You know, he's telling them, I'm a Ghanaian. No. You're a Nigerian. You're a scammer. These Kenyans telling them this. Yes. So we can't help you because you are a Nigerian scammer. He was like, I'm a Ghanaian. And I'm sitting here as an American, you know, a black, you know, African American. And luckily, you know, they would have probably thought I was with him doing the same thing too. I had my passport, but I saw him in Africa. And, you know, at the time, he must have had about 70,000 subscribers then, but still quite noticeable in 2018. And I'm sitting here listening to these people talk about this guy in a way, castigating him. And I have seen it throughout Europe. I mean, when I lived in Europe, Nigerians are some of the most loved and hated people at the same time. If African Americans have a bad reputation in America, it typically stays there. When you come to Africa, you don't have that same bad reputation, but Nigerians, God bless their heart, they get it everywhere they go. Everywhere. And I've never seen a group of people get so much love on one end and hatred on another end. I have seen it for myself, all through Luxembourg, all through Ireland, through London, through Poland, you know, for many years. Yeah, man, they get a bad rap, but also they have some of the most brilliant things they do in Nigerians or in Africa, in my honest opinion.
Yeah, Nigerians and African Americans. I always said that African Americans and Nigerians were so similar because Nigerians are so flashy, loud, you know, in their way, just like, you know, you get Nigerians some money. They got the cars, the jewelry, the women. I always look at a lot of Nigerians, especially them Yorubas when they come in, man, they funny as hell. Because, you know, I live on the East Coast, so there's a lot of Africans here. Here in Philadelphia, I've done videos in Little Africa where predominantly growing up, it was mainly Liberians and people from Ghana, but you have a lot of Nigerians and Sierra Leones here too. So I get a chance to talk to them. And when I'm in Philly and I go down to Little Africa, you know the Nigerians. You know the Nigerians because they act just like we do. They do everything that we do. That's why I'm like, man, like that DNA is there. Like it's funny as hell, man. Like they flashy as hell, loud. Like you can go to the room and it could be 25 other African groups. You're gonna know the Nigerians. You're gonna know you're gonna know us in the room, and you're gonna know the Nigerians.
We definitely gonna know we show up. We not playing. So, but let me ask you this though. In comparisons to, let's say for an example, like somebody like myself being here in Uganda and uniting with, you know, people in East Africa, what do you think the difference is just from the outside looking? I mean, obviously you've known me since I've been coming here. Before I made the move, we've been talking ever since then. And what do you think that the difference is, not to try to, you know, separate the countries, because you initially told me to go to Ghana.
I did.
Yeah, you said you need to go and be with our people.
Yes.
Our people are in Ghana. So you should go there and not go to Uganda. But now, after seeing my journey here, and I do disagree a little bit with what he's saying, but I can agree to what he's saying too after talking with you. What do you think is different than, you know, some of the African Americans that are coming here to Uganda or to Tanzania or Kenya in comparisons to where our ancestral home is? But because we don't know the culture there, we can't speak the language just the same as here, and you know, and somebody like myself here has been accepted here. What do you think about that?
I think that us going back to Nigeria or Ghana, we don't have to speak the language. It's DNA. It's a spiritual DNA thing. Like I know it when I even connect with some of the Africans here from Ivory Coast, and how can I put it? I'm trying to use the right words. Being in Philadelphia, right? You have some Africans that come and don't talk to you at all. They look down on you. They put their nose up at you. They in Philly, so they're not gonna get smart with you. They just don't come around you. It's too many niggas. Way too many. I mean, God, it's like 900,000 black people here, bro. It's way too many.
Yeah.
So but then you have Africans that, right? I'm telling y'all, I'm serious. Like my FBA brothers, you got Africans, right, that'll come here and just walk right up. When you'll be in a gym or be somebody that walk right up to you and be like, hey, what's up? Like just nothing. And it's like the spirit of the DNA knows who is who. Kind of like let me put in this words for some of the African brothers or people that might watch the channel. It's kind of like, say me and you brothers, O'Shea, and grandma sent us to the well to go get some water. We back in Africa before they brought us here, right? We in Africa. And grandma sent us to the well. And going to the well, I'm digging down there to get the water. I'm the oldest. I'm digging down in the water. You watching me, right? But some slave catchers come and grab me and you take off running and you get away and they take me and I've never seen again, right? I come to the Americas and my DNA begins to permeate through the Americas, right? But my family is still back home. And it's like, when you start connecting certain Africans and African Americans, when they just connect and it's just like, especially West Africans and African Americans, when they connect and it's just like smooth and easy, I really believe that some of those people are our cultural family. Those are our families that we connected with. That's why they can come and get immersed in African American culture so easy. The ones that don't, I don't know about all that. But it's not like a word that you put on it. It's just you going back home. And like, you on that soil. When you go to like East Africa, just even with the way that they responded, there's not like a connection. Like you had to go there and build. You did something extraordinary. You went into a place where they don't know who you are. They don't know your culture. They don't know much about slavery. They don't know much about us like that. They just see a black face. And you carved out a niche for yourself and built something there. And early on, when you first was going, I was like, man, go to Ghana, go to Nigeria. Don't go out no goddamn Uganda. I don't know. But I'll tell you, I said, I don't know shit about Uganda, but Kamala, the Ugandan giant. I don't know. Don't go over there. I was scared for you. You know what I mean? But you went there and you built something. But I think that a lot of people go to those places like Tanzania. A lot of blacks go to Tanzania since the 60s because Tanzania was giving asylum to African Americans that was on the run from the government during the Black Power, during the Black Power times. A lot of blacks ran to Tanzania, including Walter Rodney and a lot of people. But I just think that a lot of people they want to go to Egypt, they want to go to those places, but it's not sexy. For a long time, it wasn't sexy or fashionable for us to go back to where they say that they stole us from. And I'm the person, I'm in the mindset, like, why are you not encouraging us to go back to where you stole us from? So that right there should tell us why we should be going back to where they stole us from. You know what I mean? They don't care if you go to South Africa and all those other places, but if you start going in droves to West Africa, now there's a problem. So I don't really get caught up in all the FBA ADOS talk, the native talk. I believe that a lot of us was here before slavery. I believe that they brought a lot of Africans here. I don't get into the division, the stupid divisions amongst us, because I believe that that's supporting white supremacy. I don't get into none of that shit. I don't care about that. So you ain't got to leave no comments in the comment section about that. If you with the division and you with all that emotional shit, if there's an African talking down to African Americans, then he's supporting white supremacy. If you are a FBA talking down on Africans, then you're supporting white supremacy. You have to fall in the middle. You have to stand outside the circle and look at it. Look at who's pulling the puppet strings. Right. And that's where we lead into where I tell you, right? Most take the African off to the side for a minute, right? When you're dealing with our people, right? Most African American women, and probably African women as well. And when I say, matter of fact, let me clarify, because I forgot the way I explain things. When I say, because the Caribbean is the Americas too, they're American. They're American, but I know people like to separate Haitians and African Americans. I don't do that. That's not the way. My mind don't even work that way. I don't go by those nationalist kites and all that. These are black people. These are people of the plantations and people of the rice plantations, and we're all the same people. They told us we were different, and that's why they got us so messed up now. But that's neither here nor there. What I'm saying is, most black women are pro-woman or pro-opportunity. Most black men are pro-individual and selfish. And this is why we can't advance or have the mindset of unifying, because we operate from a mindset of trauma. If you look at our women, they are pro-women for the most part. What's the sister? I'm gonna say her name. What's the sister that be on your show? I gotta call it out.
Tina, Martina.
The sister with some little bit of weight to her, right?
Tina,
yeah, Tina. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I think that it needs to be said, right? So that way we can we can start having conversations on our problem. I believe that that sister loves black people. So I would never disrespect her and say that she don't love black people. But the sister's not pro-black, she's pro-woman. And she's even said it. She's pro-woman and pro-opportunity. Most of the black men are pro-individual. Because if we can have a 18th degree black belt on talking about white supremacy and white imperialism and what the white man has done in Africa and what the white man is doing in the Americas and all in the West, then to be revolutionary is to be anti everything that you're saying. So you should have a family, because they went out of their way to destroy the black family. They went out of their way to create a system where we create single mothers, a system where we operate from the mindset of trauma. This is what they've done, right? Because remember, when you talk about white supremacy, right? What did I tell you earlier, O'Shea? Who did I tell you white supremacy was created for?
White people.
White supremacy wasn't created for black people. White supremacy was an ideology and a teaching to unify white people, to make them believe that they were the apex, the greatest. Johann Blumenbach, H.S. Chamberlain, and all these different small hats and Germans and Austrians, and created this thought process of the white man, the so-called white man, being at the top of the food chain. Madison Grant, the rising of the great race, and all the Nordic race, and all these different things, right? And out of white supremacy came white imperialism and white power. And we succumb to that, because we'll talk and complain all day about it, but the black man don't love his brother enough to not move as an individual and be selfish to combat it. The black woman will come on platforms and talk about white supremacy, but then turn into pro-woman. Whatever happened to being pro-black and pro-family? Until we get to a point where we're off to the side and we're looking at the pro-woman, we're looking at the pro-opportunists, we're looking at the pro-individuals and the pro-selfish people, and we're just in the middle, looking at all of these different groups and saying, listen, to be revolutionary is to not take part in none of that. The minute you see a brother speaking on some of the ills that sisters do, if you a sister and you know that that's an upstanding, righteous brother, you should side with him, not go against him because he's talking about a woman. You can't be pro-black and just be strictly pro-woman. It don't work that way. You can't be pro-black and be pro-individual as a black man. You have to be revolutionary. Is to be the opposite of what they're trying to promote to us.
Right. And
this is why we can't connect with Africa and Africa can't connect with us. Because the Africans, when they come to this country, they are pro-individual, their group, for them. And then they're still pro-individual and selfish because they don't do nothing back for that. They don't do nothing back for Africa. They're not building nothing back for Africa. Most of them leave Africa and never come back.
Right.
So what I'm saying is, in order for us to get to the place where we want to get, because in these spaces we complain, about the white man, you have to be radical and revolutionary. I'm gonna say this, O'Shea. Me being married for 18 years as a black man in America is revolutionary. Because the design is not for me to be married for 18 years. My wife is supposed to be a single mom. I'm supposed to be on drugs or a drug addict or separate from her and just having a broken family. They designed it that way. It's not designed for us to be together. So now when I'm on the block and you have 40 houses going this way and 40 houses going this way, and on the block, you may have 700 people living on one block. There's only 2 fathers in the household on a whole city, on one city block. 2 fathers.
That's sad.
Yes, but it's by design. Our people are behaving the way that they were designed to behave based off of a destroyed culture. So Africa may still have intact families, but they don't have no control of their resources the way they should to redevelop their people, to have a standing military to tell the white man to get the hell out. We can talk all that. It sound good. But if Africa had control of their resources, where they was telling the world what they want to do, and the military, China wouldn't be there. They wouldn't need China to be there. Let me tell you something, man. Africa ain't born with 1 less chromosome. Africa ain't stupid. Africa ain't born with a half a brain missing. No. Africa's conquered. And other groups of competing men that don't have the resources but stronger militaries is still controlling Africa from the shadows. Because if Africa had control, Africa would have been told everybody to get the hell out. And they're not in position to do it. Africa can develop their countries. You don't have to have dirt roads and people living in shanty hats and they're just stupid. O'Shea, prove my point. Go in there, how many talented Africans you know? I mean, just in Uganda that just has talent.
Very many.
But the people are not invested in them. They're there. They're all over Africa, everywhere. They lead you to believe that Africans are dumb. No, they're not. That's not true. But the only way you're going to fix it is to be revolutionary. And to be revolutionary is to be pro your people. Because if people can come into the space when we having these conversations and say, well, for my own personal reasons, I can't work with no nigga. And he can articulate that out of his mouth to other black people in 2023, despite all the things that we've been through. You got people like A. Philip Randolph that fought for the Pullman Porters that created the black middle class in America, man. People like that, man. People like Paul Robeson. These great giants that come from our lineage. And in 2023, you got more freedoms than you ever had, that our grandfathers ever had. And you have the audacity, the mitigated gall to come into spaces and say, I can't work with niggas. Wow. That's how messed up in the mind we are. That's how selfish the black man has become. That's how selfish, but that's how powerful white imperialism and its clutches, it's pulled into us. And it got us believing that, oh, you too liberal or you too right-winged. And I'm like, well, how about we just sit in the middle as a group, then whichever one meets our demands, then that's who we'll give our votes. But we have our own mind now. Forget your liberalism and your conservatism and all that kind of stuff. We're going to be right here in the middle as a people, because we know, what we know is get on our nerves. But one thing's for certain, 2 things for sure. Ain't nobody coming to help us or fix us, and you have no power as long as you keep running over there to be employed by them. The only way you're going to get power is to reunite with your people and develop your people. That's the only thing that's revolutionary. We seen it, O'Shea. Our grandparents fought. They got jobs. We moved up. We went to colleges. We got degrees. And with all the degrees and all the money we got today, we still in the same positions that we still messed up. We haven't
not worse. We're doing worse. Not better, worse as a group. Worse.
So Dr. John Henry Clark said the European education will never educate you to overtake them. It will educate you to keep you binded under their feet. So the real education to be revolutionary is to love your people. You know, Dr. Cornel West says he's running for president. But then I did some investigation on Dr. Cornel West, and his first wife was a Spanish woman. His second wife is an Arab woman. And no disrespect to them, but just listen to me, y'all. Please listen to me. How can you be taken serious by groups of competing men when you talk black stuff and building for black, but you don't even love your women enough to marry one of them and present to black people a sustainable black family? Because see, I asked, that's what we was talking about. I asked you, O'Shea, I'll ask you before we begin to close out. O'Shea, what is black power?
You ask me right now.
I'm asking you right now. And before you answer it, because people will see this, we see the fists. And I'm asking for people when this come out, I'm asking you the question too. What is black power?
For me, it's controlling your own narrative, your own story, your own economics, the rules of engagement for you as a group, how you should act, the things in the community, in the feminine and the masculine roles the women should do, taking care of your people, loving your people like you love yourselves. That is black power. And I know people think about that in terms of as a response to white supremacy. I don't believe that. I believe that is just the code of the day. That is the structure of the day. In my honest opinion, that is what black power is. It's controlling as much as you can of what you have, controlling the output of the people in your community, what they should be doing, the rules of engagement, how they should act, and what builds a society in the black world. To me, that is the black power. To be wanting to be competitive with other groups of people, in spite of all the things that's going on. That's my interpretation.
So let me ask you a question, right? So with all the stuff that go on in these social media spaces about we're not incentivized to be married no more, we're not this. And Mexicans and immigrants come into our communities, and Koreans and stuff, they come in married. They don't give a fuck about what the American thing is talking about.
That's
they
true.
come in married with a structure and a mind of their own, right? You can't have black power if you don't have black families.
That's true.
You have to be revolutionary. And I was taught this by my mentor, to be, as a black man in America and a black woman, the greatest thing to be revolutionary is to put back together a family. You put a baby in a woman, that's your wife. I know it sounds crazy. Oh my God, I can't believe this guy's a coon. You've been conditioned to plantation fuck and run around and drop seeds. A woman can get pregnant once a year. We can drop 100. They conditioned us to not thinking about our progeny and our legacy. Protection, direction, and correction as a man. They've broken that away from us. Other groups come here and they operate from that thought process. That's why they outperform you. That's why you have no power. That's why when you get in trouble, a person like Michael Irvin or other black men that get in trouble, we're powerless in saving them. We can't make a phone call and threaten the system to say, hey, if you don't take your hands off our brother, we pulling out. We don't have that kind of power because we don't operate in protection, direction, and correction. We don't operate in progeny and thinking of family. We don't operate in that thought process. The greatest thing, the trick, and what white elites did was, and how they create white supremacy was, create a thought process amongst poor whites and other whites, create a tier system where they can achieve within that system, and they will fight and die to protect white supremacy, to protect white imperialism. Elite whites built industries for their people. They was willing to die and kill for it. They built industries for their people. That's what elite whites did. And they created the idea of white supremacy and that nationalist kite flag and put their people in there and gave them privileges based off of advancements. Elite blacks. I just told you, we had people that stood in the gap that allowed you to get in those positions. When you talk about Cornel West, about white supremacy and racism, Are you studying how elite whites built their industries? And now are you encouraging elite blacks? Dave Mays, Robert Smith, Ken Chenault, and so on and so on. Are you now reinvesting back into your people to build industries? If you're not, shame on you. Shame on you. We're going nowhere because the Latinos is coming and they're coming in fast. And they study the way white supremacy has dominated the West. And they even becoming honorary members. And they have their numbers. They have their voting block. They have the money. And they're building industries right off the dollars of our communities while we sit on our hands and do nothing. So I'm telling you, and they're doing it as a family. When you go in their stores, the wife is in the store. They're not talking about, hey, the courts don't incentivize marriage. They don't give a fuck about none of that illusion bullshit. To be revolutionary and to be pro-black and to restore order amongst our ranks, you have to do it with the family. You want to hold the fist up and say you pro-black? Where's your family? Where's your family? Who are you connected to? Who are we unifying with? So I'll end it with this. You can't be pro-woman and pro-opportunity. You can't, as a black woman, as a black man, you can't be pro-individual and selfish. You have to be black first, not woman first, not man first, black first, black family first. O'Shea, if something is wrong, it's wrong. We stand on it. We as a man and a woman, we stand on one side, we call it out. If it's wrong, it's wrong. It's not you take up for the woman because the man is calling her out, or you take up for the man because no. If you are black first, you gotta stay, you gotta stand separate from that. Because we have to start setting standards. What is the standard for the black man? What is the standard for black boys that we're raising in the black community? How high is the bar set? What is his expectations? So if the bar is set low and his expectations is low, then that's what the young women are discerning from, and that's what they're picking from. So are we raising up boys from the time they exit the womb to be warriors, to be builders, to exemplify creativity that our women and children can move in and pass down generationally? Are we creating that? Hell no, because we're too individualistic, and our women are pro-women and pro-opportunity. And the black man is the biggest hater on the planet, and he's selfish to his own brother. He's selfish. I don't care if you're in the boardroom or on the block. He's selfish. It plays out on every level, And I'm pretty much done there. And I'm speaking. You know what? One last thing.
Okay.
This is important. A lot of you brothers and sisters out there that got a problem with Tariq Nasheed, disconnect. This binds into what I'm saying. Put the camera back on me for me. Let me tell y'all something. A lot of y'all got a problem with Tariq Nasheed, right? He raised close to $2 million, right? It's way more pro-black, so-called pro-black people in this country, all over the country, right? We should be able to raise millions. If you ain't pro-individual and selfish, or pro-woman and opportunity, and you come in the middle of being black first, we should be able to raise millions to get the things done that we want. Tariq Nasheed ain't the problem. You are, because you're selfish and you're a hater. And you come in disguise as pro-black, but you're not pro-black. You're pro-traumatized. Tariq ain't the problem. Tariq is a byproduct of a greater problem within the community that we refuse to acknowledge. Because last time I checked, all over these places, everybody's black first and FBA and I'm for my people. Then if you are, then Tariq Nasheed shouldn't be the only one that can raise money to do stuff, and we should be doing stuff in different cities as a group. I agree. He's not the problem. So I want y'all to understand that Tariq Nasheed is a byproduct of a greater problem in our communities, because you are haters of your own people and you are selfish. Here in Philadelphia, it's like 900,000 black people. You mean to tell me we can't get nothing going on here? Just remember, O'Shea, Philadelphia, Memphis, Atlanta,
Detroit,
Jackson, Mississippi, Jacksonville, Florida.
DC.
It's no excuse as to why we're not gentrifying our own communities today. What I'm saying is, I'm gonna close out here, I promise. People like A. Philip Randolph and those people, they did their job. The elders didn't drop the ball. The elders did such a good job that we so free. You sellouts can go white women. You can screw white men. Ain't nobody coming to kill you. You can get jobs in Fortune 500 companies. They did such a great job that you so free, you believe you don't need each other. That's how much a great job our grandparents did. But I got a question for us. What are they going to say about us 40 years from now in the history books? What have we done since 1970? Nothing. We're still quoting the elders of the past because we don't have nothing under our belt that we've accomplished. And we got social media. We got all the mechanisms that we use and way more money and opportunity. There's no way in the world I'm watching white Russians and immigrants, Latinos, gentrify the Black community in Philadelphia. It's a effing disgrace. I'm not blaming the white man for that. I'm blaming you because you are pro-individual and you're selfish.
Well, brother, that was enough to save the entire Memphis and Detroit and Philadelphia right there. Guys, subscribe to Brother Street Media TV. I believe we have another one of these coming after this. Peace out. We be out.